Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bad Ideas Garage. My name is Steven and that is my 2010 Acura TL all-wheel drive that I believe that I've already sold for about $3,000, which doesn't sound like a lot of money, but I'm going to go through this TL. We're gonna do a little bit of a review of it, but I'm gonna tell you why the TL and the cars like the Lexus GS and ES, these are really fantastic, completely underrated vehicles if you're looking for a family car and you don't just want to get another boring crossover like everyone else has. I'm also going to tell you why this car is not the car that you want to buy unless you want a project. So a little bit about like what things you should be looking for if you're looking for a used car. So that's what we got in today's episode. Like and subscribe. We'll take a look at this in just a second. So from back here, this actually doesn't look that bad, but as you start to get closer, you can start to see some things like, oh, this bumper, and let me see here, maybe this paint. Okay, so that's not original to this car. And wait a second, that looks like a zip tie, and this is not really attached to the car. You can also see things like this paint. Well, this car has also been painted. You can see that up here as well. Also, if you step back and look at this fender, so this part of the car right here, you can see that this body panel doesn't even line up correctly. These are things that you want to look for if you're looking for a used car. This one very clearly has been in a front-end accident, and I'm nearly positive that this whole front-end style actually doesn't even belong on this. The TL had a mid-model refresh where the front end changed. My parents actually have this on their vehicle. So these early ones, the 2009, 2010 had a really ugly front end, and so they updated it. This does look better, but it's just not attached to the car correctly. So there's that. Moving back here, I guess this side doesn't look too bad. There's a little bit of tint issues right there. At some point, it looks like that this trunk might have been replaced as well, is because this, again, doesn't really line up correctly. It looks like it's been painted. It is also, you know, the badging is missing off of this as well. There's also this whole situation, and yeah, it's just not the strongest candidate for a used car. But let's take a look under the hood. So then you have some things like, oh, there's probably a rat that was living in here, considering you have, you know, a little bit of maybe like nuts that are over there or whatever. So between that and this, yeah, there was a critter that was living in here. So the rest of this doesn't actually look too bad, even though it is a little bit dirty. You can see a couple of new parts. It has a new alternator. It has a new starter. And the battery doesn't look that bad. It's not that old. A couple of things when I'm looking really closely is this ground wire right here looks like it's melted. Every once in a while this has a weird start issue. Also, it's doing this weird thing for the blinker. Again, I'll show you that in just a second. But these actually have an electronic power steering system, so you don't have to check that. If you want to check things like the oil, it's really easy to check the oil. You should probably have a clean microfiber rag for that. This doesn't look that bad. This actually has a meter that tells you how much oil life is left. So of course you would take your rag and see what the oil level is. I know that the oil level in this is just a little low, but it's fine. You can take a look at things like, okay, you never ever want to open this up, but if you slowly spin this, you can take a look at what color this coolant is. And so this coolant, you can see it's blue. That's what Honda coolant is supposed to look like. So the generic green stuff, you're not supposed to run in this. And then you can also take a look at the level in this. The level in this is just fine, which is great. Don't know why this isn't screwed on like that. I do know that the air conditioning does not work in this car. Who knows why that's the case, but it probably got the Freon dissipated when this car was in the accident. Some interesting things like over here, the air box. It's not connected over here. I actually know that underneath, this is just kind of like zip tied on. It's just not what it's supposed to be. So there's that as well. It probably was taken out when the starter was replaced, and then they just said kind of F it. You can take a look at your air filter. Those are really easy to replace. This is your fuse box. I've already looked at those. The thing that I did though is over here is that this is your timing belt. So one thing about these J engine, the J series engines, so this is a J37, a lot of J35s have been produced, is that they have a timing belt that needs to be replaced at a regular interval. 105,000 miles. That means that if you have, like this car has 147,000 miles on it, the likelihood of the timing belt already being replaced is pretty high. But if there's one that has like 110,000 miles on it, you probably should either plan on replacing it if there's no record of it being done. Sometimes there's like stickers around here that you can see that there's a sticker that says, hey, it's already been done. There is no evidence of it being done in this car. This one had a failed tensioner, which is actually not uncommon for these. So if you do replace the timing belt, get a really good kit that has a good tensioner on it, because you don't want that to fail and then you're gonna have to replace the entire belt. I will have a video of that. I'll put a link in the description below of what it's like to replace the timing belt in this. It was not the worst thing in the world after getting the crank pulley bolt that holds in the crank pulley undone. After that is really not that bad. Shout out to my buddy Colton who helped me with that. But just know that if you're looking for one of these, it's a pretty big expense. It's gonna be like, you know, $1,000 to have a mechanic go and do that. Maybe you can get it for a little bit cheaper, but somewhere in there to get that done. And it also requires spark plugs to be done. But in terms of tune-ups, besides filters, fluids, timing belt, spark plug for these, it's really simple. That's kind of it. And that's why these are actually good candidates if you're looking for a car that's reliable. But I think that's just really underrated. All right, before we head into the interior, another thing, this has the J37 that had some cam lobe issues. So some of these, they tick a little bit. That's kind of common on the J37, but the cam lobes of the J37 can wear down over time. So that's definitely something to look at if you are getting one of these that has a little bit of mileage on it. So another thing out here is that this one you can see is missing the fender liner, and you might not think about taking a look at your fender liner before buying a used car, but this one, somebody had clearly taken it off because I think that they were working on this. So this had a bad wheel bearing. It was horrendous. This is gosh darn coming out. So getting this off and then getting the crank pulley, which is right back there, was kind of a pain in the butt, and it looked like they might have not decided to pursue either of those repairs after getting this off. But these are the little things to take a look at if you're buying a used car. It's like, why is that fender liner missing? Under here, you can see there's a random connector, a yellow connector that's just sitting there, and then this wire. So these are for the fog lamps that I know that the wires actually work because I've tested that. So it is really cool that these come with HIDs from the factory, which is really great. These are actually, they work really well despite the fact that they're super foggy. Those could get buffed to get fixed. These lights were a pain in the butt. Those can also get replaced, but let's go ahead and go into the interior. So this is really cool because you don't even have to press this button. I'm gonna pull it back. There it goes, and it'll let me in. So this interior is just one of those things where it's like, what the heck did this person do to this car? It's because some of the parts of the interior are nice. Like, you know, these door panels, again, this is dirty, but it's nice, and all of this works. Seat memory, power mirrors, power doors, power locks, all of that stuff. All the things that you would expect to work. The stereo works really well. It sounds really good. This is to open the trunk. That's to open the fuel filler door. But over here, you're like, why in the world is there a burn mark right here? And I was trying to figure that out because, I mean, now that I'm looking at this, it's like there's a little electrode right there for the heated seats. But I mean, I'd be alarmingly surprised if that's what caused the issues, because these heated seats, they work. They do work. I've been commuting in this and I use them here in Oregon quite a bit. Down here, it's like, what is going on with all of this? And it's a little questionable. It's actually a little unclear if this was replaced, because I think, according to the codes, this is coating. There's a charge in the seat belt that will tension this up really, really quickly in the event of an accident. And I don't think that this is the proper seat belt. Other things about this car. This seat, nice condition. But what the heck happened right there? There's no heated seats back there. So it's like, what in the world happened back there that you're like, I need to catch something on fire? I don't get it. That seat's, you know, fine. But what the heck happened right there? Absolutely no idea. There's also these. It's like, were there gauge pods that were put right there? Like this was like, you know, boy racer car or whatever. Who knows? The rest of this car, I'm super familiar with it because this is my parents have one of these. But let's go ahead and we'll do a start, and I'm going to go through some of the features of this vehicle. Here we go. Okay, well, that was fun.
3 hours later.
Over here in the infotainment system, this is quite old and aged at this point. So, you know, looking at the screen, it looks absolutely hilarious in terms of what it can do. But, you know, back in the day, it had a little voice control that you could do that was really not that reliable. Scenic road information, what the heck is that? Ooh, this can tell you about scenic roads. Okay, we're over here in Oregon. Let's see what we have. We have 13 scenic roads. Well, that's pretty cool. Okay, I've been on, what's this? The Outback Scenic Byway. Well, that's pretty cool. So, okay, that's out near Paisley, Oregon. That's pretty fun. So I did not know that that was a thing. I just think it's really funny to see what their attempt was at infotainment back in the day and what it can do. So it's really not that bad for what it is. And again, the stereo works really well. I love all of the buttons that are right here for all of the HVAC. A lot of cars are getting away from that. It's actually Hyundai that's been really, really good about bringing them back because I don't like things that are integrated into a screen. I remember when the system came out, a lot of people didn't really like it. It actually took me a while to figure out how to use it. But again, my parents have this car, so I'm really familiar with it. Got your heated seats that are right here. You have a little bit of storage right here. This is broken, but you have that in there. Your power outlet's right there. So yeah, just really basic stuff. Oh, random amounts of money. That's a little questionable. This is really back here. This is great if you have kids. Now let me tell you, I guess I'm over it with everyone drives a crossover SUV, and I'm guilty of this because I have a CX-5 that I drive. But honestly, I have put kids in car seats in the TL, in my parents' TL, and getting them in and out of this car is very, very easy comparatively to the stubby doors that you get with the CX-5. And the ride height of this is really nice. It's not too low to the ground. I have a bad back. I'm really mindful about that. But this is what I'm getting to, is that you can go and buy a crossover SUV, but because everybody wants them, I think that inflates the price. And these, like, I'm literally going to be selling this example for $3,000. Now, if it was actually in decent condition, it'd be closer to like $6,000 to $8,000. And the type of SUV that you would get at that range, I think would not be in nearly as good condition as this. It does suck that this does take premium fuel. I get it. And this doesn't really get as good a fuel economy as it probably could comparatively to an SUV, but this does have all-wheel drive. It's actually a lot of fun, and it works really well. So it's like, if you want a vehicle that has the right just dimensions of being a family vehicle, and you don't just want to be what everyone else is driving these days, these are actually really, really good options. Last thing that I'm going to say about before going on a drive is, yes, I do have all of this with me in the event that, you know, it's not starting like it kind of just did, although I think it's a grounding problem. This boot is really big. It's got a nice liner down here. This is a great place to store stuff. I really like that, you know, in a sedan, you can close this and you don't have to worry about your stuff being seen. It's because it is enclosed into a sedan. I'm actually really curious. Does this have a pass-through? Oh, I'm not even gonna look to see what's in there. Does it have a pass-through? It looks like it might. That's actually... It does have a pass-through. It looks like it can lock too. That's pretty cool. I had absolutely no idea that that was a thing. You do get some HVAC controls back there, but the spacing of this is just really nice. I'm 6 feet tall, and there's plenty of room back here. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I am going to try to start this once again. Here we go. Yeah, this is definitely the problem right here. It's because this is freaking hot.
3 hours later.
All right, well, that was a lot of fun, and we figured out it is a grounding issue. The negative terminal on this battery is attached to a tiny ground wire that might be okay, but I kept smelling something, and it doesn't seem like it's getting a proper ground. So what I'm going to do tonight is that I'm going to sand down where it attaches into the frame, because I don't think it's getting a good ground, because once I grounded the second battery pack that I connected to this, it looked and it showed that it had a green good connection. Well, it says Harbor Freight good connection, so whatever that means. And then after that, this thing fired right up. So it was not a low voltage thing, it was a ground issue. So that's definitely helpful to know. We are going to end this video though, with doing a launch. Launching this car is a lot of fun, and these tires are not the best, and I am at a private driveway. I'm literally at my church, and we're gonna do it's just about a quarter mile, honestly, from here until the end of the driveway where there is a gate. So I have to stop by the end of that. But that's what we got for this video in the Bad Ideas Garage. I hope that you'll enjoy this launch. We have videos on the Super Adjusty race car coming up. Like and subscribe. Hit us up on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and we'll catch you later.
Thank you.